We are the wretched refuse. We're an underdog. We're mutts. Here's proof. His nose is cold. But there's no animal that's more faithful, that's more loyal, more lovable than the mutt. Who saw Old Yeller? Who cried when Old Yeller got shot at the end? Nobody cried when Old Yeller got shot, I'm sure. I cried my eyes out. So we're all dog faces. We're all very, very different. But there is one thing that we all have in common. We were all...
Hello, I'm Squid.
And I'm Sun Go.
And this is our first podcast, so kind of try to bear with us. And welcome to our show. We don't really have a name yet, but we definitely will have one by the end of it, I'm pretty sure. Or we'll just, when we post it, we'll have one. And then you'll know what the name of the show is. So let's get started, shall we?
Yeah, what we were going to talk about was me and Squid are two people who live at the Mission, the Eugene Mission. It's a homeless shelter in Eugene.
Yeah.
And Squid brought up a really interesting thing the other day. He said that there's a lot of homeless techies in Eugene. And it's like, how's this cyberpunk feel?
Yeah.
And, and he's right about that. Low life, high tech, I guess is how he put it.
Yeah.
William Gibson would be really proud of the Mission.
Yeah, you sure would be.
Yeah, so, pretty much, I'm making a video game right now. I'm totally amateur and have absolutely no schooling or any sort of professional experience. And Squid, of course, has schooling and currently works for Twisted Forge, I believe he said.
Yeah, that's it.
He's actually a really good artist. We're going to post a link to his work for his website. So, anyone wants to make him a non-homeless techie, that would be cool.
Yeah, that would be great.
But yeah, we see when you're at the Eugene Mission, and no, this podcast is not about ragging on the mission whatsoever, because we really appreciate everything they do.
Yep.
But you definitely see there's these homeless guys, and they literally go beg on the corner for hours on end, as if it's a job. And yet they have a Galaxy 5.
Right. And I feel that, there should be more facilities for game development and 3D artists and stuff like that, especially in the Eugene Springfield area, because, it just makes sense. It's just like any other town. They like their video games. They like their media entertainment. It just doesn't make a lot of sense that there's only a few video game development studios, namely Pipeworks, right down there on 8th Street. And that one. So, it'd just be nice to kind of alleviate the problem. And, that kind of leads us into our second topic here, which would be...
how this, the county, Lane County, I guess you could say they delegate their help.
Yeah.
They delegate it in, let's be honest, the shittiest manner possible. So you could be a street kid who sells his food stamps for, heroin, and they're going to give you food stamps no problem, but yet you're a college student, and you're really trying to better your life, and, you don't really have time to go hang out the Mission and wait for the soup kitchen to open. Or, I guess it's what is that, a little warehouse we eat in right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
Or you have to go to the dining room during the day because maybe you're disallowed from the Mission.
Right, and then that's the thing, is it takes up all this time.
Yeah.
And it's this extra chore you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's just say, can Lane County get their shit together?
Yeah.
No, probably not. Because it is Lane County, and they're ran by racist pioneer people.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, what can you do, right? Right, son, go great?
Yeah, so, I guess we're going to kind of trail off into the Mission now.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd say the Mission is, it's honestly one of the most, from what I've been told by a lot of people, it's one of the most solid shelters you can go to. It's one of the safest shelters you can go to.
It is, because it's all about clean and sober living, and a lot of other shelters, you could have, some speed freaks or some heroin addicts or some dudes, tripping on LSD or PCP or mushrooms or, whatever they can get the hold of, because the shelter there, they may not give a shit because that's just how they roll. They're like, well, we got bodies in here, so we're doing our job.
Right, and I've talked to so many people where they've been so hesitant to come to the mission, and they really shouldn't be. You know, like I literally talked to this guy, and he was he's like a data analyst for like real estate development, and then he never told me how he lost his shit, but he was like living on the streets for like 2 years, and he never came to the mission because he was afraid that he was gonna get jumped or something horrible was gonna happen to him.
All right.
So, like, what I'm trying to say is that if you're like a homeless person. And because if you live in Eugene and you're like a homeless techie, don't be shy about coming to the mission. It's a good place to come.
Yeah, and there's a lot of guys there that do have computers. They're gamers, you know, and like my co-host here was saying, I have an associate's degree in digital arts and computer animation, you know, and so you know I am one of those homeless techies like right now, but you know I'm working towards not being one of those guys, but you know, it's just hard sometimes, you know, and techies, you know, like it's just really hard to be a tech head and be homeless, you know, because you have to deal with a lot of other bullshit.
You know, like the elements.
Exactly.
No, yeah, and it would be cool if like I don't know, I felt like if like there's plenty of people who have so much expertise at the mission, like we could literally open like a shop on repairing computers and whatnot. Like we could open like a development studio with like half the people at the mission and how much knowledge they have about tech, you know, computers or whatever it may be.
Yeah, honestly.
I mean, I want to say like I have most of a degree when it comes to like electrical tech. I mean, it's not. I don't want to say electrical engineering because that's not exactly what it is. It's more of a general degree.
Yeah.
And yet I'm a homeless guy now, and you'll see me hanging out at like Monroe Park or something. You know, it's like that kind of shit.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, you don't even know, like the next person you could talk to, like could be someone like me, you know, or, you know, I could tell you like about all sorts of programs and, you know, like stuff I had to learn and whatnot, and you would never even know because I'm just some homeless motherfucker, right? I mean, like, why would you give a shit, you know? And that's how this county feels about homeless people, like, who gives a fuck? They're homeless.
Yeah, but like we have to deal with it because the poor crazy pioneer people get upset when they see some dude begging for shit. You know?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, so
It's just bullshit like that. Yeah, I know what you mean, Sunko, Greg.
So we're gonna we're kind of doing this to also like promote ourselves a little bit because I'm getting really tired of working these fucking temp jobs, and then, you know, like, I like to smoke weed. Surprise, surprise, I'm from Eugene. Well, I'm not from Eugene, but I live in Eugene, I like to smoke weed, right?
I'm from California, and I love it. I love weed. But at the mission, it's all, you know, it's clean and sober living, so I'm having to do without right now.
Which, that's not what I'm talking about, but I want to be able to promote my video game, I guess. And then, of course, Squid wants to be able to promote himself and get hired on in a studio.
Yeah.
Like, don't, you know, yeah.
Right.
So, we were going to talk about, like, now, we've heard, like, how good the mission is for Oregon, like, when it comes to the other ones in Oregon, because I've heard how rough the Portland mission is.
Yeah.
No, like, seriously, like, it's a mission where you will get beat up and stuff, is what I've been told, and from the times I've been to Portland and I've seen the homeless people, they are some rough customers. Let me say that.
Yeah.
Very rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so we were wondering, like, what would missions be like in other countries? And if they even have them in other countries?
Yeah.
You know, and like, I mean, I really hope another person in another country is listening to this podcast at some point, and I'd like for you to comment on it and tell us all about it. Because we really want to know prospectively how good the mission is here. You know?
Yeah, and, you know, like what are homeless shelters like in other countries? You know, like that's an interesting topic, you know. Like, are they good? Are they bad? Are they kind of so, you know? Just kind of, you know, tell us, you know, about it if you can. And if you type in another language, it's going to be in another language. And over here in the States, we have Google Translate. We have things to help us translate what you're trying to say, so your comment won't go unheard. It won't go unread. Just because you speak another language we don't.
Wow. Wow, it says more than 15 million people are. I'm on the site called homelessworldcup.org. It's homeless statistics, and I'm looking up the ones in Africa. Yeah, no. Wow, I don't know how it would be being homeless in Africa, and especially it looks like the circumstances are a lot different than people's circumstances here.
Yeah, definitely.
Woe is me, I can't smoke weed and get hired on at a place. Yeah, that really sucks. But at least I'm not losing my house to floods.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least there's not droughts and there's a huge food crisis, so there's millions of people who are, homeless because of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know what you mean. So I'm gonna definitely look up.
60 in Libya. There's more in 2007. 63.8% of people lived below the national poverty level.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of people in a country to be living below poverty.
I'm looking at this site called Tofugu. Not even sure that's how you say it. Tofugu or something. And it says Japan's jobless rate is currently at 5.2%, which is a record high, way better than America's, but still, there's a 15.7 poverty rate, one of the highest among industrialized nations. 15,800 people live on the streets of Japan, according to the government. In reality, this number is probably higher, with 10,000 plus in Tokyo alone. To sum things up, things aren't all that great, and the recession is hitting Japan pretty hard as well. If you're poor in Japan, there are a couple of interesting options for you. Better than living with the monkeys anyways. Something called the capsule hotels. So what it looks like, it looks like a bunch of cubes kind of stuck together, and by the looks of it, they have public areas. It looks like they got lockers and stuff like that.
It looks like you sleep inside a locker.
And then getting your very own blue tent, which is kind of similar to how it is in America, where some people, camp or tent out, or they have, like tent villages and stuff like that, and up here in Oregon, that's all very legal too. Some of them, like there's some encampments of, tent people is what I'm gonna call them, and it's all legally sanctioned and everything, so they're not gonna get in trouble for having an encampment.
Yeah, but there's only certain spots, and there's only a limited amount of people you can have there. There's actually it's illegal to be homeless in Eugene technically. You can't really sleep in a park. You can't sleep anywhere.
You can't camp under the. You can't be a bridge troll, as it were. You can't camp under the bridges. It says no camping stenciled right there under the bridges.
I believe it's literally a law that you cannot camp. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Anywhere in the city limits. But there's a really crazy statistic I didn't even realize. About Europe. Europe doesn't seem like they have too many homeless people, but Sweden,
you wouldn't think.
Right, but Sweden, it says the National Board of Health and Welfare identified 34,000 homeless people in Sweden.
Wow. And they say socialism doesn't work, but it does.
Well, no, but imagine how big Sweden even is.
Yeah.
And now imagine being homeless in Sweden.
Ugh.
Yeah, talking about weather exposure.
Seriously.
Yeah, so actually Europe doesn't really have a lot of homeless people.
No.
But then again, I guess you would either be at home, or you would die in the cold.
Yeah, probably. Or you could just, go to a hostel, or, what a lot of people do in America is they book a hotel room for a few days.
Well, something my brother-in-law, he lived in Europe for a while, and he was telling me that, you have to panhandle, and you have to, hustle, and you have, 3 months to really panhandle and hustle, so you can be able to pay your bills. And,
wow.
And, even, I guess, pickpocketing is, a pretty big profession over there.
Wow.
Not like I'm saying it doesn't happen anywhere else, but it's over there are people who are professional pickpockets. And
wow.
And they only have a couple months out of the year to do all their pickpocketing, so they can have a home to live in.
Right. So yeah. Well, they even got the United States of America.
It's kind of ridiculous because the United States of America. I guess it's more than 2% are homeless.
Yeah. Wow.
but it's like 610,000 people are homeless. But I noticed a very common theme was like natural disasters, and that's why a lot of countries have a lot of homeless people. Like Haiti, of course, 70% of their population is homeless, but that's because of the earthquakes and tsunamis and whatnot.
Yep.
Did they have a tsunami, or was that the earthquake caused the tsunami in Japan?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, we could be totally getting this wrong, but hey, we're just homeless guys who live at the mission, so don't quote us.
Yeah. Huh. The Danish approach to beating homelessness. Oh, I'm not downloading the whole PDF to this fucking thing. We're keeping that in the podcast. We're keeping that.
Wow.
Okay.
Brazil only has 5,500 on the streets of Rio de Janeiro.
Huh.
I actually thought that would be way higher, but I guess not.
No, wow.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising.
Yeah. Let's go back to that homeless World Cup. Glasgow, 2016. So you're probably wondering, like, in America, Europe, Africa, well, I mean, what about Asia and some more of the islander countries? I'm pretty sure they have homeless people and homeless shelters, of course. Let's look at
how the fuck do we have? Well, never mind. I guess India has 78 million homeless people.
India.
Yeah,
78 million.
Yeah, but then again, they got like 1.3 billion in their country.
Yeah. Wow, that's really sad.
Yeah, wow. Japan has 25,000 homeless people.
Japan?
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Wow, I almost thought you couldn't even be homeless.
Wow.
In Japan.
Yeah, I know, right?
Well, South Korea only has 4,900.
So hey, folks. It says here in Russia that according to the government's estimates, 5 million people are homeless in Russia. That's 3.5% of the population. That's quite a lot. 1 million of whom are children, and 50,000 of them live in Moscow. Wow. That's the capital. You think they would have more, services. It says it's not clear whether these numbers include 4 million invisible people, and those are people who don't register as being homeless. And then it says winters are especially problematic for homeless people in Russia. Well, yeah, like Napoleon, right? And Hitler, you just don't invade Russia in the winter. Winter kills you in Russia. What a country, the whole Yakov Smirnoff thing.
This is kind of like some dumb reasons. Like, yeah, and it's just like, hey, look, people, not everyone is homeless because they're a drug addict. According to Google here, that's how they act about it. Like, oh, you're a drug addict or you got mental illness.
Yeah, and
like Talhead. Like that's why. Like maybe we should talk about Talhead a little bit.
Maybe.
Okay, so there's this guy that's at the mission, and as far as we know, I've seen him only with like a towel on his head, and he doesn't really say a whole lot. But then like late at night when we go and take a shower and go to bed and shit, he like will have full blown conversations, like really loud, and I guess what Squid was saying is that he's not going to. He's not really crazy. He's faking it.
And unfortunately, that is a sad fact. Some people do fake being crazy to get one of those checks. And, they're abusing the system, and that really hurts other people who are actually mentally insane and do need actual help,
Yeah, and I've done this like quite a few times. As much as I've not been homeless for a 7-year stretch, within the last I guess it's more than like 6 years. In the last 6-year stretch, I've been homeless like 3 times for like more than 3 months. And it is really hard to get a job when you're homeless because you don't have a residence. And as soon as you say you live at the Eugene mission, they won't hire you.
Yeah,
so
and
kind of keep that in mind.
It's like a really big stigma that needs to be dealt with in Lane County.
No, and it's like funny because actually sometimes those people are the most ideal people because the mission keeps you on a schedule, and ideally that is, and again, you can't smoke pot as much when you're at the mission, or it's just harder to do it. You have more pressure not to do it.
Yeah.
So really, those are like ideal people for working at these temp jobs that are just, it's the easiest, dumbest stuff you'll ever do.
Yeah. What else should we talk about? I think we're pretty good on that subject, you know.
Yeah, being homeless. Yeah.
Yeah. So what else should we do?
Well,
Go greats.
Okay, these podcasts are literally not going to be about being homeless. We're actually really more like tech guys, like game guys. Like we really like video games. You know.
We're just a couple of geeks, all right?
Yeah. Only reason I just kind of brought up the homeless thing is because like I'm making a video game about being homeless in a fictional town called Mallerton. And if you're familiar with Eugene, you'll understand why it's called Mallerton.
Yeah.
You know, because we like the ducks, I guess.
Yeah.
So we're gonna make So that's kind of why I brought it up is I want to get that game out there, and it's probably gonna be ready like in 3 months. I'm gonna say like fully ready, and eventually I'm gonna try to get a Kickstarter for it so I can be able to put it out on Greenlight. And right now I'm using Blender. Like all the tools I'm using is like literally Audacity, Blender, and GIMP, which are all open source free programs.
Yeah, they're really, really cool. I mean, we're using Audacity to record this podcast as we talk right now, in case you're wondering.
And Squid's kind of lying when he says that he thinks they're really cool because he doesn't. But I do eventually want to get better with like systems like Unity, like a game engine like Unity, and eventually, start modeling stuff in like Maya because I totally understand the leaps and bounds difference between Blender and Maya.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't see it, but I'm showing my friend here, this was made in Blender.
Yeah, we could probably post on Blender.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to all you homeless techies out there, Blender is going to be your best friend if you wish to make video games.
Yeah, it really is.
But yeah,
and then there's also like Sun Go Great was saying GIMP is a great image manipulation program, much like Photoshop. There's also Paint.net, and there is also something called Krita, and that's Krita, and it is very much more like Photoshop. But then there's also online versions of Word, Photoshop. You can go online and use it through the internet browser. Not that you would want to do that all the time, but I mean it is a good substitute until you get the actual product.
What kind of like genre of gaming would you call like homeless video games?
I think you made a new genre, man.
Okay, but what would it be?
Action.
It would just be an action video game?
No, I'd say it'd be RPG.
Ah, you're right about that. It would be like an RPG.
It's kind of like action adventure RPG, kind of like if like Legend of Zelda. Like who says that kid isn't fucking homeless?
Yeah, Link is pretty much homeless.
He's like some homeless dude with a sword and a shield, and he just goes on marvelous misadventures.
Yeah, talking about.
I mean, and like Ash from Pokemon, like I haven't seen that kid have a stable house in fucking years. Get that guy to the mission.
Yeah. By the way, why do you see so many homeless kids with like swords on them in Eugene?
Yeah. What is that shit?
Yeah. Are you guys trying to be like Link or something? Like, what is up with that deal?
Well, I mean, it is Oregon.
Why wouldn't they have an axe or something? That would make more sense to me.
No, it wouldn't. Why would it?
Yeah, that might be way more. I don't know, man. It's just.
Yeah, and then there's like.
I love Blender, homeless drone. What? Let me see. Let me see if that's anything to do with Blender at all.
I'm in love with Universe or with Blender.
I think this has literally nothing to do with Blender.
Yeah, that's a funny one. Yeah. Don't worry about the man behind the curtain, folks. Okay.
So, yeah, guess what? New genre of gaming. It's going to be some sort of homeless genre of gaming.
Okay, well, that makes a lot of sense.
I know, hard RPGs. Let's call it that. Hard life RPGs.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, market that to Nintendo.
Well, I mean, like, I think it'd be so awesome. Like, I felt like ID being like one of my favorite video game companies of all time. They're kind of like the most punk rock, most, just hard kind of video game company.
Well, yeah, and for all you folks that don't know, I'm a punk rock gamer, sort of a hybrid, In high school, I was that geeky guy, like, hey guys, don't fucking pick on me, I need dust my glasses, kind of like that, but not as stereotypical as the voice I just did. But then when I get kicked out of that group for doing something they don't like, like, I started smoking or, blah blah blah, whatever. I don't really want to get really into it, but yeah, I would go hang out with the punk rocker kids, and I just sort of like bounce between the two groups, and that's kind of why I'm like this geeky dude that's all about punk rock and skating, and but I still like comic books, video games, and tech, and just sitting on my computer like a lazy bum, and well, not really a lazy bum. I actually make money off my computer, unlike those people at Starbucks. Am I right? So it's just a ball. Being a tech head, really. I mean, you play with your favorite device and make money, and you just love what you do. I mean, isn't that why most people do mess around with tech, right? So I'm gonna pass the mic over to Sun Go Great for his input.
Well, there's no mic.
You know what I meant.
I think
We're actually recording this on my laptop, which has a built-in mic.
I think Starbucks.
I said that mostly for effect.
I think Starbucks can go fuck themselves. Like, yeah, there are like the most discriminative group towards homeless people I have ever seen.
Yeah, I fucking know.
Like every time I go to Starbucks and I'm like, I'm a paying customer. I go in there, I buy a coffee, and I ask for the bathroom code because hey, guess what? If you drink coffee, 10 minutes later, you probably need to pee.
Or shit. Depending on your
like
metabolism.
Like seriously, like within 10 minutes they'll like change the bathroom code because you're walking around with a backpack.
Yeah.
And that's a hard stigma that I think everyone needs to get away from. You need to stop thinking people who are in need are like somehow gonna steal from you.
Yeah, they're probably not.
Yeah, actually more than likely they're not,
Yeah, and especially if they're like a techie, like that's if you got your computer stolen, I mean, you would want to go like murder babies or something. I know that's a really extreme example, but you know what I mean, guys. You know what I mean.
Oh, it would make me want to cry. It would seriously make me want to cry if, like, I remember I dropped my computer one time at the mission and I just almost had a meltdown. Not like freaking out and getting violent. I mean like falling on the ground and crying meltdown.
Yeah.
But luckily my computer was fine, so it was all good.
Yeah. So I mean, and then there's another thing that I kind of noticed about Eugene and Springfield, especially with the game development kind of crowd, is that they're really in love with the past. I mean, like, I see a lot of retro style games, and while those were fine for the time, I really do believe that they need to, get with more up-to-date programs that are more powerful and more capable and more professional. But then again, I have, a more professional background. I was in a high school business academy. I went to school to learn how to work in the video game industry, and you can also use your 3D skills not just for video games, but for like 3D movies, advertising, the casino industry, the medical industry, the government agencies, probably, and like I said, with advertising, I mean, that just opens so many doors rather than just limiting it to video games. Now, while I do like the retro look, I love retro games. I'm a retro gamer for sure. I think there's nothing wrong with using more advanced, powerful, programs that can do way more, way quicker, and it'll really streamline how you want to do things. And, I feel that people might take your game a lot more seriously. And like I said, nothing wrong with loving the past. It's great. But there's a reason why we move forward. And, I went to something called the Global Game Jam. And, there was a lot of retro style games. Totally cool. But speaking of Blender, which is what my friend here uses, we made the game. We did all the assets and stuff in Blender. We had a couple people doing Blender stuff. I did more of the 2D digital side. I have a strong background in traditional 2D art skills. And we had our coder do everything in Unity, which is a free game engine. Now, if you want to make money off of it, well, yeah. But if you want to make money from it, of course you have to pay the fee, to make money and port your game. But like I said, there's nothing wrong with using either free software or more professional software. It's just like, how do you want your game to look and how do you want it to feel? It's just things like that I contemplate and think about. Do I want to stay in Eugene and Springfield to pursue this career? I mean, yeah, I would love to. I love it up here. So maybe I should look for a work remotely position, which is a total thing, because there are some companies out there, like in England or Germany or Iceland or Denmark or just whatever, just insert random country here, I've seen it pretty much all. And they have work remotely positions on certain sites I know. And you can work remotely and you can work for this company that's overseas and not have to move overseas if you don't want to. That's what I'm talking about. So I'll pass over the topic to my co-host here, Son Go Great.
Well, I think Squid has one thing wrong about what he was saying with using Blender and putting money into games. You know how they spent like $500 million on Unity? Like no shit.
Mhm.
Or no, sorry. Did I say Unity? I meant Destiny. They spent $500 million on that game. Bungie did, and it I don't know. It's had a lot of problems, and I don't feel like a great game. Throwing money at it is what makes it a great game. I feel
No, yeah, okay, I agree.
I'm
I'm not saying that you're wrong about throwing money at it. Well, I'm saying, okay, yeah, throwing a bunch of money at a project is a good. It's not wrong, but it's not right either. Especially if you don't. Basically, what I think is if you throw money at a project and you have a bunch of clowns that don't know what the fuck they're doing, that's the real problem.
Okay, what I'm trying to get at with Squid is that Squid has this awesome idea for a game called Skate 'em Up, and you're a guy on a skateboard.
He came up with the title, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't think of it.
Okay, well, but it's his concept of pretty much it's a beat 'em up skateboarding game. So think if Tony Hawk and Final Fight got mixed together.
Oh,
so
and don't forget God of War because you're in a maze and you're trying to fight all these different monsters and ghouls and stuff. But yeah, it wouldn't just be like classic Greek creatures. It'd be like gargoyles and vampires and zombies and mummies. So like like Castlevania and just like everything I like about games. It's almost rolled into one. Just you're the skateboarding dude. You can hop off your board and fucking bam, 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 hit the enemies, but you're still trying to get out of this maze, and that's the puzzle part. And the skateboarding part is you're skating in the maze, and then the beating part is you fucking them up with your skateboard, I thought it was cool.
And just think if you had trick attacks, how cool that would be.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, Squid actually has a really good idea, but because he refuses to want to learn how to because he refuses to even touch Blender, he doesn't want to make this game. So
Well, and on the same note, I'm going to say because my friend here refuses to learn Unity right now, I don't want to make the game.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, well.
So we're just two stubborn homeless techies.
Well, I mean, we have our creative differences, and that is part of the industry. Is you're gonna have those creative differences, and sometimes it just comes down to software differences, and that's why some things do get done and don't get done. And I think that's why it hasn't got it done yet.
Yeah, well, I didn't go to school to learn how to use Unity.
Well, I didn't go to school to just learn Unity. I learned Unity while in school. I learned a lot of things while I was in school.
Well,
and I learned one package mostly. We focused on one software package mostly, which is Autodesk Maya.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is very true. I mean, but...
And then I know how to use Mudbox, Unity, ZBrush, Photoshop, Adobe After Effects. I know how to use different software packages.
But I really feel like Skate 'em Up could totally be that kind of hard RPG kind of game. Just like my game, Give Me Shelter, could be that hard type of RPG.
Well, and...
So can people please convince Squid to make this game and not have him procrastinate on it?
Because that's probably what I'm going to do.
Oh, no, he will. Absolutely.
Yeah, like all great artists, they procrastinate. A lot. I mean, Da Vinci took a 10 to 12 year break when he was painting The Last Supper, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, well, was Da Vinci homeless the whole time he did it?
He was probably homeless at one point.
He probably was, yeah.
Yeah, probably.
But
hey, look at me and my Mona Lisa painting.
But then again, everyone in Renaissance France, I think, was homeless to a certain extent.
Yeah, because, France was doing so great at that time.
Okay, so, rag on the podcast, don't rag on the podcast, but at least try to listen to it.
Yeah.
That's all we really want. We just want you guys to hear us out, and we want to get exposure.
Yeah, and we want to try and make this a regular thing. So, show your support or don't show your support. Give us a thumbs up. Give us that like button. Subscribe. I don't care.
We're gonna make it anyways. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We're gonna make it whether you fucking like it or not. So deal. So, I think we're about done here, and thanks for listening. So. See you later. See you next time.